Why did you decide to run for public office? What's your motivation there?
Because I'm crazy if you look at 2020. No, it was a whole lot of fun when the Chiefs were winning a Super Bowl, and I thought, this job was ribbon cuttings. The thing seriously, though, that got me, I had a lot of lucky breaks, and I think I realized that. I grew up in the inner city, had a single mom story, not unlike a lot of kids, but got sent to Barstow out in South Kansas City. And then that led me to a wonderful college in Washington University, St. Louis, law school at Cornell. And so I saw everything kind of fell into place. I recognized for a lot of young people, those things don't fall into place the same way. And so I was always interested in, that's why a call like yours is actually really appealing to me. What can we do in building stronger neighborhoods? What can we do in creating more job opportunities in the city? All those things where I saw that local government can make one heck of a difference. And I also saw kind of the paths that were laid out for me. When I was at, Cornell, you get these job offers from New York City law firms, and I saw that I could I could have a good life there, probably live in a much smaller place than I do now, mind you, but nevertheless, get well compensated. And I just thought, that's just not how I'm wired. I just saw making a change and difference in Kansas City as something that would excite me. And I figured I was young enough that if all this goes awry tomorrow, I still have a long runway of doing something different and, closing the door on all things political.
Right. So you're a lifelong Kansas City, and so am I. I grew up in Brookside, lived here all my life. I went to William Jewell College. I haven't gotten very far away, and people ask me all the time why I stay here is because I love the city. So, you hit on it a little bit, but why do you stay in Kansas City? What does Kansas City mean to you?
My favorite thing, and this was long before I ran for office, people always ask, was this just a ploy and you knew you would become mayor one day, which no one does. For me, the interesting thing was I came back for a 1-year clerkship with a federal judge. And then this was 2009. So Mark Funkhauser is mayor. Things still aren't great. We're in an economic recovery. So it's not like, everything was done or open. But I just saw a community that was so welcoming. And I actually saw, it's all here and I enjoy it. I enjoy being in a place where, there isn't a pain to living each day, where I'm not, seeing how many bags I could carry from the grocery store and walk a few blocks. And I just really like that, that set of combinations. And, and it's a fun place. And I think one thing that we undersell Kansas City on, for a broad set of people. So I don't know if your sons are married or not, or have kids or not. But, a lot of people, we sometimes oversell Kansas City. And I mean this in as great a way as I can, as a great family place. It is. But it's also a place if you're an artist who wants to be in the crossroads, if you're, somebody who's a different type of creative, if you're an empty nester who still wants to be in a neat community. I think that there is so much for us beyond actually just what we usually think of as what's cool about the city.
You bet. So you mentioned you're kind of in the market for a new home. What's home ownership mean to you? You grew up in a single family home. So yep. What did that mean to you? And then how have you transitioned into home ownership now?
It's interesting. So what it means to me, and I think you hit the nail on the head earlier when you talked about stability. We rented all the time when I was growing up, and from place to place, and places that weren't as high quality, and neighborhoods that had different challenges. I like being able to really invest in a place. Now, I've been in my current residence for 11 years, so it's not like I, just showed up last weekend. But I think there is something really special about a connection you build with the community. And I think homeownership provides that unique trait in connection with it. I think your participation rates with voting, community groups, other organizations, kids that are going to the public schools or schools nearby, even parochial, is really something that I think could help stabilize a lot of our neighborhoods. And so that's what attracts me to a lot of things. I've wanted that level of things. I've been in the 18th and Vine area for a few years, 11, and I've liked it. Don't get me wrong, and I like some of the, I like its proximity to so many other things in the city. But there's also this idea of you want to meet neighbors in a different way. You want to have more people by. You want to have that, and I'm looking to stay in east of Troost. I think there are outstanding neighborhoods and opportunities east of Truce that I want us, particularly through projects like this one, to be able to share with more Kansas Cityans and to say, no, there is actually something here. You don't have to get 20 minutes away to really have that bit of the American dream.
Yeah. I tell our agents all the time that we get to do something really, really special. We say we sell houses, but we really don't. We facilitate a transaction, but we get to be involved in one of the most important decisions in most people's life, and in the largest financial transaction they do. And then we move them into the home where they're going to raise their families, where they go to rest, during COVID, it's probably the only place that they feel safe, right? So
right.
It is incredibly rewarding. And I think we just want to give that feeling to everybody. And we want to make sure that we're providing that for every community that's out there, because there's a lot of people that don't know, when you grew up, you were always renting, that you didn't know what the value of home ownership was and how it can change your life. And so that's why it's so really important to us. According to a recent report from the Urban Institute, the gap in black and white home ownership is greater than it's ever been since the Fair Housing Act. What can we do as a company? What do you think we can do as a company to change that?
I continue to think that it's the darndest thing that people don't understand the opportunities out there with them. I think a lot of people are renting because it's easier, at least as they view it. They know that they can, they know what they make each month. And so they know they can cover this rent. They see a value on a house, even if it's not an expensive house, it's at $80,000. And they say, I don't have that. And they think their credit, is a barrier to, anything connected with that. So I think how you remove the barriers, how you message to people about what they actually can do, about some of the high costs that they're paying right now in whatever living situation they're in, and how the opportunity to build equity to do so much more is actually an intriguing option for them, or should be. And then sometimes you have to dispel some notions. One of the notions to dispel, there are a lot of people that, would think that they don't have the economic resources to be a homeowner, or, might think that, they'll never be able to move again. Not that you want to buy a house and move immediately. I mean, there's all of this that you see in a very different conversation in some areas of our city versus another. And sometimes that distance is just a few miles from, I had a lot of friends. So I went to private school and know a lot of lawyers. I have a lot of friends who, I'm 36 years old, who moved here, got married, maybe 27, 28, bought house one, had kid one or kid two in house one that's in a smaller place, a Waldo, something like that, or Prairie Village, and bought house two in a larger space, that sort of thing, in a number of years, right? It's that sort of thing that happens all the time. And I just don't know if everybody knows that those opportunities are out there for them.
Right. So how would you like to be remembered? What, when you move to your next appointment or whatever you're going to do next, sure. What are three words that people will think about Mayor Lucas as he is, and when he was as mayor of Kansas City?
Well, it's three things that I would have hoped they said before about me: smart, honest, and hardworking. I, like you, who knew how to handle what came our way this year? None of us. There was no manual. I don't think any of us have dealt with it, because the last of these pandemics was the influenza one in like 1918. So there was not a manual, but I think we all read, we all listened, we all learned, we all maybe screwed up sometimes, but tried to correct it. So I think that was step one. I think being honest was an important step two, in saying, and I had people, many of who have challenged orders, whether it be wearing a mask or anything under the sun. And I've said, look, I'm just trying to make sure people are as safe as they possibly can be, and we can get back to normal as best a speed as we could. And then the third, on diligence, it is this idea of, I take this job very seriously. Just because I did not choose to start my legal career at a New York City law firm doesn't mean that the rest of us out here in the world don't work just as hard. We have big jobs to try to make sure that our economy in this region keeps moving, and try to make sure that people stay safe. And that's meant a lot of nights where I didn't sleep as much. It's also meant that as a guy who used to run all the time, I'm about 9 months out of shape, maybe like a few others. So I'll see you all at the gym. But, we understood that we had an important job to do right now, and we're making sure we get that done and take care of our communities.